This Notebook LM video explores how ancient thinkers saw the tabernacle as a map of the cosmos, placing Earth at the center of the universe. From Clement of Alexandria's vision to the symbolism of the menorah, discover how faith, tradition, and cosmic order intertwine in a powerful message about creation, spirituality, and divine intelligent design.
All right, let's jump right in. I want you to imagine something for a second. Picture the blueprints for a sacred building. You're probably thinking about walls, pillars, architecture, right? But what if those blueprints were actually a map? And not just any map, but a map of the entire universe. That's exactly where we're going today. We're going to step back in time into this ancient way of thinking where a holy place wasn't just a building, it was a perfect little model of the whole cosmos. Our whole journey kicks off with this really wild statement from an early Christian thinker named Clement of Alexandria. He's looking at the altar of incense from the ancient Jewish tabernacle, which was this small golden table used for burning fragrant spices, and he just casually says, "Oh yeah, that's a symbol for the planet Earth." Now, to you and me, that sounds completely out of left field. And right there, that's the puzzle we're here to solve. How on earth did he make that connection? What kind of worldview lets you look at a piece of furniture and see an entire planet? This is the question we're going to unpack together, because the answer, well, it reveals this incredibly deep and beautiful way of seeing the world.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll get to know the man himself, Clement of Alexandria. Then we're going to uncover the master key that unlocks his whole way of thinking, this idea of a cosmic temple. We'll use that key to actually map out this symbolic universe, starting with its sacred center and then looking at the 7 celestial lights that orbit it. From there, we'll explore the deeper meaning behind it all, a universe literally built for prayer. And finally, we'll see that Clement wasn't just making this up, he was part of a long and powerful tradition. So, first up, who was this guy, Clement of Alexandria? Well, he was a brilliant scholar living around the year 200 AD. He was actually the head of a really famous intellectual school in Alexandria, Egypt, which at the time was this incredible melting pot of different cultures and ideas. His whole life's mission, really, was to show that Christian faith and Greek philosophy weren't enemies. He saw them as 2 paths leading to the same truth. For him, the biggest truths were almost always hidden in symbols, and he believed that one of our highest callings was to find God's signature, his divine fingerprint in every single part of creation.
Okay, so to crack his strange comment about the altar, we need what I'm calling the master key. It's the one concept that unlocks his entire symbolic world. It's an idea that was, super common in the ancient world, but we've mostly forgotten about it today.
And here it is. The key is the idea of imago mundi. It's Latin for image of the world. For Clement, and for a lot of people back then, the tabernacle wasn't just a place for rituals. No, it was a literal, physical, 3-dimensional model of all creation. Every single piece of it, every curtain, every post, every table, was designed to correspond to some part of the cosmos. And this wasn't just some abstract philosophical game. This was how they grounded the reality. It was how they saw a divine plan in everything, from the stars in the heavens to the very stones of the temple. So, now that we have the key, let's go back to our mystery. If the tabernacle is a map of the universe, then where exactly does that altar of incense fit in? And why on earth does it represent Earth? And suddenly, it all just clicks into place. But you have to see the world through their eyes. See, for them, the universe was geocentric. That's just a fancy way of saying they believed the Earth was the fixed, unmoving center of everything. The sun, the moon, all the planets, they all revolved around us. So in Clement's reading, the main room of the tabernacle, called the holy place, that room represents our entire visible universe. And what's standing right in the dead center of that room? The altar of incense, you see? The real secret here isn't what's on the altar, it's where it is. Because it's at the center of the architectural map, it becomes the perfect symbol for the Earth, which they saw as the center of the cosmic map. It's a perfect 1-to-1 correspondence. Okay, that's pretty cool. So we've found Earth on our cosmic map. But what about the heavens? What about the sun, the moon, and the planets that are circling around it? Well, as you can probably guess, Clement and others found a symbol for them inside the tabernacle too, and it is just as elegant. But first, a really quick astronomy lesson, ancient style.
The word planet actually comes from a Greek word that means wanderer. To them, a planet was any of the 7 bright lights in the sky that seemed to move or wander against the backdrop of the fixed stars. This group of 7 included the moon and the sun, plus the 5 planets you can see with the naked eye. For them, these 7 wanderers were the main actors up on the celestial stage. Now let's turn our attention to another piece of furniture in that holy place, the menorah. It's this beautiful golden lampstand, and the instructions for it were very specific. It had to have exactly 7 lamps constantly burning with the purest oil. Now, if you're an ancient thinker who's trained to see cosmic symbols everywhere, 7 celestial wanderers up in the sky and 7 lamps burning down in the temple, that is not a coincidence. That is a clear echo of the divine design. And this is just a brilliant example of that conceptual leap they made. The menorah wasn't just a lamp to give light. For people like Clement, it was the stunningly beautiful model of the entire known planetary system. It was a map of the heavens, standing right there in this sacred space, showing off the rational, orderly structure of God's universe. And the level of detail they saw here is just incredible. They saw the central lamp, the one in the middle, as representing the sun, the great ruler that keeps the 3 planets above it and the 3 below it in perfect harmony. They pointed out that the menorah was always placed on the south side of the tabernacle, which perfectly mirrors how the planets always travel across the southern part of the sky if you're watching from the northern hemisphere. Some thinkers even saw the slanted branches as a symbol for the tilt of the ecliptic. That's the path the sun takes, which gives us our seasons. They didn't see this tilt as some cosmic mistake. They saw it as an act of divine love, a purposeful slant in the universe designed specifically to allow for life to flourish here on Earth. So we've built this incredible map. We've got the Earth as the altar at the center, and the planets as this 7-branched lampstand circling it. But this was never just about making clever connections. This was not just an intellectual game. This worldview had incredibly profound implications for how you were supposed to live your life. What was the whole point of it all? And here we get to the real heart of it. If the Earth is an altar, think about what that means. It means our world isn't just some random rock floating in space. It's a holy place. It's the very center of God's cosmic temple. And what's the purpose of an altar? You make an offering. This vision completely transforms our idea of human life. It's no longer just a series of random events. It's a liturgy, a continuous act of worship that we perform on sacred ground. So what kind of offering belongs on this altar of incense? It's not animal sacrifices. It's the burning of fragrant incense. And time again in the scriptures, what does incense symbolize? It's a symbol for the prayers of God's people rising up to heaven. So if the earth is the altar of incense, then its fundamental purpose, its very reason for being, is to be a place from which prayer constantly rises to the Creator. Now, as amazing as all this is, it's important to know that Clement didn't just invent this whole system out of nothing. He was actually tapping into a very deep and rich intellectual tradition that had been exploring this idea of a cosmic temple for a long, long time. Just take a look at this. Here we've got Clement lined up next to 2 major Jewish thinkers who came before him, the historian Josephus and the philosopher Philo of Alexandria. And you can see they're all basically on the same page. They all agree. The holy place represents the physical world, and the menorah represents the 7 planets. Philo, for instance, called the physical world the sensible world, the stuff you can perceive with your senses. And he said the Holy of Holies, the most sacred inner room, represented the intelligible world, the higher divine reality you can only grasp with your mind. They have their own unique spins on it, of course, but the core idea is exactly the same. This was a powerful, shared way of reading reality that grew and evolved over centuries. And that's what's so powerful about this whole vision. For these ancient minds, there was no conflict between faith and science. There was no battle. In fact, studying the cosmos, observing the planets, understanding the seasons, that wasn't a secular activity. That was a form of worship. It was like reading God's other book, the book of creation, in order to prepare your mind for a deeper, truer knowledge of the Creator himself. And so, that leaves us with one last question to chew on. Today, we know the Earth isn't the physical center of the universe. But what if the deeper insight of these ancient thinkers is still true? What if the world around us, the ground beneath our feet and the stars over our heads, is still a kind of temple, filled with an incredible depth of meaning and purpose, hiding in plain sight, just waiting for us to notice?